So Silverwood just made a new announcement. Seems like they're finally getting the upgrades to Tremors that were much needed. Today, I want to discuss my thoughts on this latest announcement, as well as make some predictions as to what we could see coming to this park in the near future. Tremors getting new trains and seeing the completion of its retracking comes at a slight surprise with how it was announced, since this work isn't as new and drastic as it seems. Starting back in 2022, we saw some major retracking work being done on both Tremors and Timber Terror, utilizing the 208 retrack from Rocky Mountain Construction. What was a bigger announcement was the addition of 2 new trains to Tremors, which I think will enhance the ride greatly. Using this information, I want to discuss my thoughts on this announcement and try to take some further guesses on where things could be going. The reason I believe this announcement is a bit odd is because of the previously mentioned fact that track work had started on both Tremors and Timber Terror all the way back in 2022. While the entirety of Tremors wasn't retracked, a good majority of it was. The Spaghetti Bowl section in the middle of the ride and the final turnaround were completed in 2022, so this meant that really only the first drop and the hills right after it, as well as the helix next to Stunt Pilot, were the only parts not retracked. It would appear that these remaining sections of track were switched out, which tells me that future work on this ride is going to be pretty minimal, barring the occasional structural repair. I am a bit sad that this most likely means that this coaster won't be receiving a full RMC hybrid conversion, but Tremors is one of those coasters that grows on you the more you ride it. So at the very least, I'm happy to see that they're taking good care of it. This was a coaster that in some sections definitely needed this work to be done, and I'm glad to see that it is. The other part of this announcement are the new trains. Now, the first thing that came to my mind when I saw that 2 new trains were being added to this coaster was, where did Silverwood get these trains? It's not completely out of the question that they purchased them directly from DJI, but let's face it, Silverwood is always looking for a good deal. They scored a decent discount on Stunt Pilot when Kentucky Kingdom decided not to install it late into its fabrication. They got a discount on ride maintenance by investing in these 208 retrack projects. Heck, they even got a huge discount on Corkscrew initially when it was relocated from Knott's Berry Farm. This tells me that these trains came from somewhere, and I can only infer where they might be from. Based on the infographic shown in the announcement video, we're going to be seeing GCI's Millennium Flyer trains, and it will have 12 cars. So were there any semi-recently closed GCIs that had at least 2 of these trains? Actually, yes there are. There was Wildcat at Hershey Park, Wood Coaster at Night Valley in China, Ozark Wildcat in Celebration City in Missouri, Roar at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, and Gwazi at Busch Gardens Tampa. Going through the list, it wouldn't make sense for Ozark Wildcat or Roar to be the source of these trains, since they were both closed 10 years ago. But who knows? Hershey Park is most likely hanging on to their Wildcat trains as spares for Lightning Racer, and Wood Coaster likely isn't actually closed, only standing but not operating, unless this status has changed recently. The final contender is the trains from Gwazi, but it has already been stated that these were shipped off to Busch Gardens Williamsburg to be used on Invader. However, there were 4 total trains coming from Gwazi. Would Invader really need 4 entire trains to keep it running? I'm guessing most likely not, so I'll say that there's a good chance these might be the ones in the hands of the Norton family. This honestly doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but it is still fun to give my guesses on it. With this work finally being completed on Tremors, what could this mean for the rest of the park? I think the biggest thing we will see next is the existing train for Tremors being used on Timber Terror. I somewhat doubt that we'll see this train added this year, but there is at least some chance of this happening. I think that a decent amount of work is needed to be done on this train to get it to a place where it would be good to add on Timber Terror. The back car was just too loose and tended to fishtail through the layout, leading to a pretty uncomfortable ride experience. If Silverwood leadership decides to do this, I think it'll be very valuable and will contribute to what I believe is going to be Silverwood's goals for the future. This retracking is likely another way to get some momentum towards the amusement park, since the last major investment was put towards the water park. Most likely, I see similar work happening on Timber Terror being highly likely, especially since the turnaround and the final helix already were given the 208 retract treatment in 2022. This all leads to one of my biggest curiosities about Silverwood. What could the future of the amusement park side look like? I think the biggest possibility, again, is that Timber Terrace gets the same kind of upgrade that Tremors did, but most likely using the former train from Tremors. Beyond this, we might have a slight chance of seeing a new spare train come to Corkscrew. This most likely would be coming from Anaconda at King's Dominion. Beyond this, I think we're due for a new coaster soon. Don't get too excited because I'm not expecting anything majorly groundbreaking here. It most likely would be something like a Vekoma family boomerang or a suspended thrill coaster clone, similar to Dragonflyer at Dollywood. This park is in dire need of some bigger family coasters, and these two models fit the bill for what I could see as being the most likely to be installed here. If Silverwood decided to go a bit larger scale, then maybe something akin to Big Bear Mountain at Dollywood, but most likely a decent bit shorter than this. If I had to pick where these would go, the area behind Tremors and Thunder Canyon seems like the best fit. This section of the park feels empty and could fit a decent amount of rides. If they did decide to go extreme and go with something similar to Big Bear Mountain, this would take up this entire area. So in my opinion, we'll more than likely see something much smaller. If I had a wish list for what I'd like to see here, Silverwood, I think, really needs an S&S Screamin' Swing. This type of ride would still take up a decent amount of land, but honestly, the picnic area is in dire need of some new attractions. If Silverwood really wanted to squeeze a Screamin' Swing somewhere else in the park, it could probably sit in the grassy spot adjacent to Thunder Canyon, or potentially these highlighted spots. If they got Vekoma family coasters, the picnic area might fit them fairly decently, as seen here. You could also make an argument that in the area where the path splits between the water park and the amusement park, they could add a new area there, but I think that the picnic area is probably the more likely candidate. As it stands right now, 2025 seems to be a fairly uneventful operating season for Silverwood, but it still feels like these upgrades, while slow, are helping to put Silverwood on the map just a little bit more. It's my hope that one day this park will be built up enough to become somewhat of a destination amusement park. While yes, it is completely out of the way, it is in a unique position in the Pacific Northwest with no major competition in the area. If they can continue to build up what the park offers, I could easily see this becoming more and more of a draw each year. This does mean that, at least for the time being, investment in the park will continue to take a slow and measured pace, leading to smaller installations over time, with some larger projects in between. All of this has me deeply fascinated with what the future of this amusement park could look like, and has me hopeful for this place to bloom into something incredible. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to leave a like and comment below and hit that bell icon. Special thanks to our Patreon supporter, Future Collective. $1 a month helps me bring even more content to you guys, and I even have some exclusive content coming, so check it out. Check the description below to find links to the rest of our pages. Thanks for watching the video, and ride on, Coaster Maniacs!